Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where in the world you're joining us from. Hi, my name is Rosalie Olmsted. I am the WiCyS Strategic Partner Coordinator. It's a pleasure to have you all here today with WiCyS Strategic Partner Cisco. But before we get started and before I pass it over to Berku, I'd like to review the WiCyS organization. We often go by our acronym, WiCyS, because that is exactly what we are, a global cyber sisterhood. WiCyS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. Our community is made up of over 11,000 members in 103 different countries. We have 72 professional affiliates and 314 student chapters around the globe. We offer a range of initiatives and skills development programs for all career levels, including the Google Cybersecurity Certificate Program, Stage Ready Public Speaking Fellowship, Vulnerability Disclosure Program, Create Your Leading Edge, our mentorship program, and so much more. Additionally, all of our job openings from our strategic partners are available on the Job Board Plus year-round. We owe all of our wonderful initiatives and programs to our strategic partners that fund us year-round. Specifically, a thank you to our Tier 1 strategic partners being 3M, Akamai, Amazon, Bloomberg, Cisco, Ford Motor Company, Google, Lockheed Martin, Optum, Sandia National Labs, SANS Institute, and SentinelOne. Please feel free to ask questions throughout today's webinar. Please type them in the question box below, and time permitting, Berku will get to them at the end during the Q&A portion. There's also a special bonus to this webinar today, and we will be gifting one WiCyS membership to one person who is chosen randomly who's attended today's webinar in its full entirety. So please stay on and join us throughout the entire webinar to have access to the additional 1-year free WiCyS membership. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the WiCyS newsletter to stay up to date on all upcoming events and program launches. You can find it at WiCyS.org in the upper right-hand corner. With that, I'll be turning it over to Berku with Cisco.
Thank you. Thank you for the amazing introduction, Rosalie. And I'm super happy to hear we will be also giving a free membership, which I believe would be super valuable. And I personally am a member of WiCyS. And this year I had a privilege to present in Dallas in their flagship event, WiCyS Women in Cybersecurity Conference. So it was an amazing experience for me. And during this event, we had a chance to interact with very experienced, like-minded cybersecurity experts, but who happens to be parents as well. So based on the interactions, we thought, okay, this conversation should be going on. That's why we want to follow up with a virtual version of kind of a redelivery, but we also want to interact with you, get your thoughts, understand who you are, where you are coming from. So we have a poll that is already available for you, or I guess it will be coming available very soon. But I want to understand who do we have today with us? Because as I said, the previous conference, it was all ladies in cybersecurity. Now I am sure we have some parents, we have allies, or we have people who definitely want to contribute around this cause. So this is Burcu. I'm based in Turkey. I am working at Cisco as a Splunk channel leader, and I am also a parent. So if you are someone working in IT industry, or if you are working in cybersecurity industry, I'm sure you are getting some questions around, hey, you are working in cybersecurity and I'm really concerned about my kids being online. So I want to understand who is getting such kind of questions. Who do we have in the room? And despite some of us knows the answers, what should we do to safeguard our children? Sometimes we are not very good at communicating this, or how we can find the right balance to enable and empower the children and the parents without really creating extra fear. And when we have fear on people, we are just paralyzing them. They cannot act on it. So let's see. I guess we are getting some results. Yes, We have 66% getting these questions very frequently. We have people who are receiving a few times, and we have some lucky ones who haven't received this question. So let's prepare you to those questions. And for the ones who had already received these questions, maybe we can equip you with some actionable tools and items. So, as I said, I'm also a parent. And I have been getting the nudges from my son like, hey, when can I get my mobile phone? When can I get a mobile phone? And this is his first mobile phone in the picture. So don't tell me he needs a little bit coaching of handwriting. I shared this feedback already, but what he says is, anyway, we will be using computers. Why do I need to write with my hands? I don't agree. But anyway, I am a supportive mom. So when he brought this mobile phone to me after getting too many rejections from my end, this is too early. No, you are not getting any mobile phone. He was super excited. I'm not sure if you can understand this from the picture, but it's even covered with transparent duct tapes because it's water resistant. It should be water resistant. I don't know if he will be using it in the pool, but he definitely wants to get best out of two different worlds. We have Google Store, we have App Store. But then I realized something amazing on this mobile phone. Could you see what is amazing with this mobile phone? He forgot to add Wi-Fi. So I am safe for a little bit longer until he discovers he need a connection. But jokes aside, I'm a parent who is working in tech. I definitely believe the value tech can bring. And I want my kid not to fall behind. I want him to learn the technical advancements, be a tech-savvy person when he grows up. But in the meantime, I'm working in cybersecurity and I know all the things that may go wrong. I know the social media pressure. I know all the AI generated kind of fake things and attacks. I know the dark corners of the internet. So it is really a tough decision for me. Should I let my son explore technology and be a tech-savvy person, but is it more like, no, I need to protect him? So I decided to make my research. I decided to understand what is the right age for getting a mobile phone. I tried to understand what would be the rules, and I decided to understand what other parents are doing. When I was making my research, if you are a parent and if you are working in this area, I'm sure you are also a little bit confused. There are lots of different messages. But one thing became very clear. It is not only a technical knowledge issue, it is also a communication issue. And even if I take all the preventive actions to secure my child, even if not having Wi-Fi in his mobile phone, I cannot protect him fully. And I came to realization when he came to me one day and said, "Hey, mommy, can we watch Squid Game?" I was a little bit shocked. I was like, how could you even know about Squid Game? And if you have been living under a rug and you haven't heard about this TV series, let me tell you the concept. So it is about kind of a competition which comes with a huge financial reward. So they are going and selecting some financially challenged people and they are inviting them to participate to a game. And the games are traditional children's games. The games when I was playing when I was a kid. And I am at my 40s, early 40s. I mean, very early 40s, just to make sure. But we were playing these games on the streets. They were very harmless games. But the catch is, if you lose the game, you are getting executed. So as you may imagine, it has lots of violent scenes. This is not something a child should be watching. But seems some friends were watching the TV series unattended on their own tablets or laptops, whatever they have. And they were coming to the school. They were willing to play these children's games in the school breaks. And my son was feeling left behind. He came to us and said, I want to watch this series, I want to learn the games, and I want to play. This is when I started to realize it is not a problem that I have for my son or myself, but it is a community problem. So no matter what I do for my son, I cannot secure him. if I don't have the support of full community. So I decided to tackle with this problem. And today I will be sharing what I found. Today I will be sharing what I learned, which got my huge attention. And hopefully I will be also sharing a framework that will be helping you to tackle with this problem. So as I said, first I started with understanding what is going on. And when I said cybersecurity and children, of course, I got lots of statistics. But I want to share the ones that got my attention most with you. I was aware of cyberbullying. Bullying is a big thing. It has been a big thing for all of us in many different shapes or forms, but cyberbullying is even amplifying the occurrence. So almost 60% of the kids are experiencing cyberbullying. Think like you are entering a classroom and more than half of this classroom is experiencing cyberbullying. It is a lot. And I was really shocked when I heard 75% of the kids are stumbling, not searching, but stumbling to inappropriate content. And with this, I don't only mean like porn kind of content, but you can think about the content which is creating some wrong perceptions of reality. Some content around violence, some content about like the guns and all sorts of stuff. So not very suitable for their age, 75%. Think this in this way. There is a nice playground which is very close to your house and your kid wants to go out and play with their friends because kids wants to play and they need to socialize, they need to be active, they need to be part of real life. But in this playground, you know that there are 3 hidden holes and every 3 out of 4 kids are falling into those holes. Would you take your kid to this playground? I wouldn't take my kid even there is one giant, very visible hole to this playground. So this is the extent the parents are experiencing. And the next one is very much expected. 40% more likely to hit this phishing attempt. But it's not related to only education. I will touch on to this one. More reasons around this. And online grooming, which is a big thing, which is one of the major headaches for the parents, especially the teen parents, seems it increased by 400% in the recent years. 400%. So internet has been around since last how many years? Like 20 years as a household item or 25 years. But in just recent years, it skyrocketed by 400%. And something maybe a little bit obvious for you. Gen AI generated children sexual abusement material. This increased from thousands to millions, the reported ones in just 1 year. This is a huge increase, which is expected, but I was not expecting such a big increase. And when I talk about the cybersecurity challenges, and when I talk about this with the cybersecurity experts, sometimes we tend to think it like security breaches, numbers, statistics. And I started with the statistics. But I want to get your attention to a different direction. What is the impact on children and families? Not only the numbers and statistics, but what is the real impact? So did you know that if a child is experiencing cyberbullying, it is 4 times more likely to think about or attempt to suicide? This is terrifying. And sometimes the cybersecurity concerns or exposure or the attacks on kids doesn't show itself as only suicide, but it may show itself like a 12-year-old boy suddenly stops talking with their parents because they have been having some issues at school, someone was blackmailing him, and he stops talking and he suffers in silence. Because we have research, the kids don't prefer to tell such kind of things to their parents because they are terrified of losing their mobile devices or laptops. If they tell to their parents, they think that they will be judged, they will be found guilty, and they will be losing their devices. So they try to suffer in silence. Best case, they go to their friends, which is in the same situation most of the times based on statistics. Third, they are going to their trusted adult or a teacher, but then as last resort, they are going to their parents. We need to change this order. It may sometimes show as a 9-year-old girl who one day doesn't want to go to school because the kids at school created a fake Instagram account and they were humiliating her. Can you imagine these things are happening at age 9? It is very early, and this is where we are dealing with now. And of course, those content that shouldn't be in front of the kids, which they stumble upon 3 out of every 4 kids, this is creating anxiety on them. This is creating self-esteem issues. This is creating distorted perceptions of reality. But why this thing is affecting the children different than adults? Is it because they are kids, they are not educated, they are reckless? Not really. There are 4 dimensions. Some of them are also new to me. I learned along the way when I was searching it. The first one is the kids are wired to trust. So when someone online says, hey, I'm also a 13-year-old boy, let's play a game, they don't question it. They say, okay, I have a friend that I'm playing online, I'm chatting, this is harmless, it's also a kid. They cannot think about, okay, maybe this person is an old man, he's trying to groom me sexually. They first trust, they question later. They definitely want to have the belonging, and they definitely want to be part of a community, like adults as well. But they are expecting this from a different direction. As I said, when we were teens or young, we were socializing outside. We were socializing at the, let's say, shopping malls, cafes. But now this is their environment. They are getting to know people online. They are socializing online. We can protect them, but we cannot definitely take this out of the picture. Otherwise, this will be also hurting their social life. And another thing, this got my attention because I was not aware of this. The prefrontal cortex of brain, which is responsible from impulse control and risk assessment, is not fully developed until age 25. I was expecting to be fully developed around 15, 16, and I was shocked to hear it is not fully developed until 25. That's why the children are not really thinking about the whole risks. That's why they are 40% more likely to click to this phishing email or button. That's why when they are asked to send some pictures or sometimes even nudes, they are sending it, as they cannot do the proper impulse control yet. It's not because they are not really trained well or they are reckless, because this is brain is still developing. We need to understand this and we need to approach in this way. And okay, this is how I will change the slides. I'm still not familiar with this bright talk screen, so if I stumble, please bear with me. And if you are thinking, maybe this is about the parenting, maybe it's the parents who cannot educate the kids. Maybe my kids will not be in this situation because I am a very engaged parent. Let me stop you over there. This study was the jaw-dropping moment for me. And it is a study that was made in US, and it's a study that was made for education applications. So these are the education applications that was suggested by schools as their official application platform, education platforms, or this is a nice to have application. And 96% of those education applications are found to share personal information of the children. I have a couple of them in my mobile phone from my son's school. I can take all the security restrictions, like I can check what they are sharing data with, I can check if they are tracking my location, I can keep them up to date very often, but I don't have any visibility to the software development kits they are using inside this application. And 75%, almost 75% of this software development kits that are used on those applications are classified as very high risk because there's another statistics from this study. It says 78% of it are sharing those information, very critical information of the kids, with third parties to monetize. So even if you are a parent in IT, even if you are a parent in cybersecurity or someone working in cybersecurity and have some kids in the community, would you be digging this very much if it is coming as a recommended solution or recommended platform from your school? Why would a regular parent should be digging this? And we talk about monetizing. Why children's data is such important. Seems the children's social security numbers, some confidential information and everything are 5 times more expensive, means more lucrative for the hackers in the black market. And the reason is those children have pretty blank history of records. They have good credit scores, not heard, and this gives the hackers longer period of time for exploitation. When was the last time you checked your kid's credit score? I had never until I see those statistics, because why would my son have a credit score? He's not using any credit. Now I also started to check. So this is the risk that we are talking about. These are the different aspects of the things that we are working about. How do you feel after seeing those figures? Lots of statistics. Some of them are very heavy. I was losing my hope for a second when I first saw about those statistics. And what I felt was, I wanted to be a shield in front of my son, and I wanted to be a shield in front of all the kids, but I cannot achieve this by myself. So we need to tackle with this problem all together. But first, as I said, we think about a lot of heavy topics, heavy statistics. So before moving on, more tangible things, more actions, I want to change the mood a little bit. And now we are starting our second pool. It should be appearing in your screens very soon. And let me tell you what kind of trivia game are we playing here. So I will be showing you 3 pictures, and I will be asking you to find what is the common theme, message, or the kind of, what would I say? The right answer, what these 3 pictures are telling us. I want you to find this. So the first picture is a beautiful house in a coast. Is it an ocean? Is it a sea? But it's a beautiful house. The second picture, it's a lady holding blue jeans in somewhere. Where is this place? What is this lady doing with blue jeans? And the final picture is a beautiful Turkish coffee. Some says it's a Greek coffee, but I'm Turkish. I will go with Turkish coffee. So you will see the poll. And what I would like you to do is to find out what is the right message. Let's see the results. So the first, it says they all represent cultural icons from different regions. The second answer, they were all subjects to failed restrictions and backfired. The third one, they all become unexpectedly famous online. And the final one, they all highlight how perception shapes cultural value. Let me take a sip from my water while you are reading and thinking about the solution answer message. Okay, we have first and last answer a little bit leading. Let me give you a couple more seconds. Okay. I guess we got most of the answers. So let me tell you the story, and we will decide on the answer. You can still continue voting. So the first picture is the beautiful house of Barbara Streisand. I guess it was around 2003. Someone took some pictures of the house and put it to internet, and she was super kind of concerned about the safety or personal confidentiality. So she said, take those pictures from internet. But when this was heard, people got more and more interested, and they started to search the pictures of this house. So it became very popular on internet, searching the house of Barbara Streisand. And then it even got a name on the literature. It's called Streisand effect. And the second picture, it is Red Square of Moscow, Russia. So it is a story from Soviet Russia days, and seems when Soviet Russia decided to restrict the sales of blue jeans because it was thought it is representing the West commercialism, they decided to ban blue jeans. What happened? This is also backfired, and people started to find it in the black market. And the final one is Turkish coffee. During 1920s, the Sultan of Ottoman Empire decided to ban Turkish coffee because they were thinking people are coming together, gathering, talking about politics while drinking Turkish coffee. What happened? People still continue to drink Turkish coffee, but in underground. So the right answer is they were all subjects of failed restrictions that are backfired. So the moral of the story is restrictions doesn't really work, and they cannot give all the benefits that we expect from them. Okay, so let's continue with the slides. And let me also tell you the final result. So only 13% of the audience got it right. Congratulations, 13%. But this is the reason of this webinar, right? We are understanding something new, and I'm super happy with the result. So we discussed about how we felt, or personally how I felt after seeing those figures. But I also try to understand how parents are feeling in this environment. Again, I want to share some surprising insights from other parents. The first one is actually a research from a hospital. When they ask what are your top healthcare concerns as parents, they listed the 5 domains that comes with cybersecurity as healthcare challenges. The top is overuse of screen times. And then after this 5, it comes like nutrition, it comes exercise and everything. So a healthcare concern is rating cybersecurity concerns at top. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing, I try to understand what other parents are using for monitoring their kids' activity because I really want to get some best practices. And what I saw was overall screen time. So the parents are only focusing on majority of the cases on overall screen time. But as cybersecurity experts or people in IT, we know that it takes only a couple seconds to click to this link, or it takes only a couple seconds to send this picture to a wrong person. So restricting the overall screen time is not really a solution. And then I also heard parents are making some agreements, like binding agreements internally with their kids and agreeing on some rules of using this device. And when I check what they are putting in those agreements, because I wanted to just copy the best practice, I saw only restrictions. Limit time, restrict contacts, restrict certain apps. And from the previous exercise, we know that restrictions doesn't really work. We need to find a different way. And definitely there is a gap. So we know that the parents want to help their kids. They want to make sure their kids are safe online. Even their top healthcare concerns are related to cybersecurity. So what is going on here? Seems most of the parents want to have more resources. Sometimes they don't know where to find it. You may say, but information is everywhere. The internet is filled with information. But some information are as we discussed at the beginning, very technical, they cannot understand, or those information may be very much focusing on the risks and creating lots of concern, or some content are not really right content or a little bit outdated. They don't catch up with the recent developments of the cyber environment. And most of them also say they don't know what their kids are doing online. They don't understand the activities. And they think their kids know more than they do. So definitely there is a gap. But the good news is the parents wants to learn more. They are open. They are willing to receive information. And this is the gap we can fill. So this is a WiCyS event, Women in Cybersecurity, the amazing organization that we had shared at the beginning. But it is not only WiCyS responsibility. So today we come together as a community. We have parents, we have ladies in tech, we have allies, we have all different backgrounds. And what we should be doing is we should be creating a shield. We should be creating a shield of knowledge. And we should be protecting our community. Because our job isn't just about securing the systems. It's about securing people. Every device, every system, every software that you secure, it is actually securing a person behind. I want you to keep this in mind whenever you are interacting or doing your day-to-day job, if you are someone working in cybersecurity. So until now, we talk about the why part of the things. So let's get practical a little bit and let's talk about what we can actually do. And to explain this, I also want to tell you about my own story on this cyber parenting journey that I already started a little bit at the beginning. And the kind of milestone, let's say, after doing all those research that I got stuck was the communications part. Because sometimes communication may be the rocket science. That's why I have this rocket. So I know what to do. I know the cyber challenges. I know how to protect my son. But I didn't know the right way to communicate this. So I had some idea. I did some research. And I tried to make some experiments to see if those approaches are right. But of course, I couldn't risk my kid. So I decided to make those experiments on my family. I go to my parents and I said, hey, from now on, we will be using a family password because this is what's happening on the internet. This is what's happening with AI. If someone calls you and tries to ask for money, if someone sends you a video that you may believe it's me and I'm asking for something weird, and if you suspect, those are the things that can happen. And I want to use a family password. First ask the password and then act on it. And my mother was super negative about this. She was like, why are we using this password? Why don't we use this? And I was having a hard time to explain this to my mother. Mom, it's not about the password itself. It's about the process. So I definitely thought, okay, this is a communication problem. And then I decided to get a professional help. I visited a children's psychiatrist. Yes, this may be overkill for some of you, but I visited a psychiatrist and I said, this is what I'm trying to do. This is where I am. And I need some help on communicating this with my kid or other kids and the parents without creating fear. And I need to find a way to empower them. And the feedback that I got or the suggestions that I got, monitor, restrict, control, restrict again. And by now we understand restrictions are not really working, or even if we restrict our own kids, they will be getting some exposure from somewhere else. So this is definitely out of picture. I thanked to this psychiatrist, and when I was just about to leave the room, she said, by the way, I also have a teen son. Can you please share maybe some practical guide with me that I can take a look for his connections and mobile? I said, okay, yeah, I can do this. So I prepared a very basic practical guide, like how to create a family account, how to use some children's accounts on YouTube or such kind of platforms, how to make sure they are getting regular software upgrades, strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, some basic steps. but it was very clear and step by step. After sharing this, I thought maybe I can also share this with the parents in my kids' school so they can get benefit out of it. And after I shared, I started to get lots of positive feedback and engagement. And then I realized, okay, I guess I found some clue. There must be something in it because this is the first time I'm getting engagement from non-cybersecurity folks around the cybersecurity content. One day I was having a walk and listening to one of my favorite podcasts, and it is called A Bit of Optimism from Simon Sinek. If you are listening to this podcast, I really enjoy it. If not, it is kind of a podcast where they invite different kind of speakers from all different backgrounds. And back then, it was the time where we had these wildfires in LA earlier this year. So the topic was again heavy. Fires are going on, some people are losing their houses, the kids are kind of aware what's going on, but they cannot really put a meaning. So they were having a guest, a children's psychologist, and she was talking about how to talk about this very hard concepts with the kids without creating anxiety, but being open, and how to empower them. And at that point, I started to think, okay, actually, this may be something. In cybersecurity, we are also dealing with some sort of fires. It is also a crisis situation. It's also sometimes a very hard concept to talk with the kids. So I can use it as a framework. And the psychologist that was a guest in this program was Dr. Becky Kennedy. I'm sure some of you are already familiar with her or maybe read this best-selling book. So I decided to get this book. I watch her TED Talks. She also has a TED Talk. I watch her YouTube videos and everything. I try to summarize what she's saying on this communication framework. This is my own interpretation from her book, just to highlight. If you read the book, maybe you will come up with a different interpretation. But in my case, in my communication style with my son and with the fellow parents, I started to use this 3-step communication framework. First, we need to start with validation of the feelings. Because if we come from a place like not understanding what they really feel, we cannot teach anything to the kids or to the parents, which are already in fear or which are already having some challenges already. And the second step is keeping it very short, simple, and actionable. This is the key. And this was because I started to get engagement when I shared this material with other parents. And finally, we should be creating and modeling confidence. We shouldn't be modeling anxiety. And we should be finishing with an empowerment. And of course, none of the frameworks could be a framework without making some validation. So I started to think, okay, I need to validate this at some environments, or maybe with my son, with the parents, but I need to have some tangible data in my hand. And universe works in different ways. When I was thinking, how can I test this in a real world, I got a perfect opportunity. Unfortunately, it was not very perfect from my own behalf, but it was a perfect opportunity to test this. One day I was in such kind of a virtual meeting and my mobile phone started to ring back to back, back to back, back to back, back to back. I was getting constant WhatsApp messages. And when the meeting finished, I checked it, and seems the messages were coming from a parents group of the school, which includes like around 1,000 parents. Yes, I am part of a 1,000 people WhatsApp group. Don't judge. But they shared an official government link, which was telling some details about my son's school having a data breach from previous years. And they were stating thousands of kids and parents' data is breached. And they were publishing the details in this government regulatory site. So the messages were coming from parents. It was all over the place. People were panicked. People were saying, how could this be happening? What will we do now? And even there was a parent who shared some screenshots from ChatGPT around what may go wrong if their kids' data is stolen. And it was including all those statistics that I shared with you earlier. So it was a pure panic environment. I said, okay, unfortunately, this is a perfect environment that I can test this framework. So I tested this communication framework, and I will tell you how I did it in a second. But as soon as I shared this, the chatter stopped. No thank you messages, no likes, nothing, but the chatter stopped. And I take this as a success because the environment was calm, because I gave them some actionable items. And I will definitely tell you how I did it as an example. But first, let's start with how we will communicate this with the kids with an example. And then I will also share what I did with the parents. So when I decided to give an example of how to communicate a hard topic with a kid, I was thinking what would be one of the hardest topics to communicate with a kid. And I'm sure some of you started to think the questions like, hey, how was I made? How was I put into your belly in the first place? Did you get such kind of questions? I got, and I was lucky because my answer was very straightforward because my son is an IVF baby. So I don't have hard explanations. But we have equally similar topic in the cybersecurity environment. And it is sextortion. How do you educate a kid around this heavy topic without creating fear, without creating extra questions, or maybe without opening doors for unexpected, not very age relevant questions? Okay, so those are the potential answers most of the parents are applying to. Never send pictures to anyone online. And unfortunately, if you say something like this, it is not really validating what they are feeling from our framework. Or sometimes they say, if you send something, it is on the internet forever. No, again, there is nothing actionable here. If we want kids to learn something or be able to cope with it, we need to have some actionable items. So this is also out of picture. Or we are having something like, there are dangerous people online waiting to trick you. And this is not empowering. This is not role modeling confidence. This is only creating anxiety. So how would I communicate this if I want to communicate with a kid? So I would start with validating the feelings and thoughts. I can say, and I'm sure you can come up with something better than this, but start with validating the thoughts. I know it makes total sense to connect with the people online that you know. And I also know that you want to connect with your friends. Everyone does. Even I want to connect with my friends and family and colleagues online. And it makes total sense for you to trust people. And most of the people online are good people. But sometimes we may have some people who tries to trick you and others. And this is definitely not your fault. If that ever happens to you, I want you to know that you are not alone. I'm here to help. So what we did, we validated the feelings. We validated it's perfectly okay to be willing to communicate and connect with people online. And we said most of the people online are good people, but some of them may want to trick you. So we are not creating any huge anxiety on online environments. And then we need to give actionable items. And I can say something very basic like, if anyone wants to ask for pictures, or if anyone asks something that would make you feel uncomfortable, I just want you to stop and tell me. You don't need to handle anything alone, and you won't get into trouble. So we need to emphasize we are here with them and they will not be getting into trouble. Because remember, the biggest fear of the kids are losing their device and judgment that would be coming from the parents. That's why they are not sharing it with us. And finally, we need to finish the message with something empowering, something role modeling confidence. So you can say something like, you are never stuck. No matter what someone says to you, there's always a way out and solution. We can figure it out together. There is no big problem that we cannot handle as a team. So So this is how I would tackle to this topic of sextortion with my son. It's not opening the doors for extra unwanted questions. It is creating confidence that we can work on it together, and it's giving actionable items. And how can we communicate this with a parent? How can we empower a parent in cybersecurity domain? Sometimes we are saying things like, just set parental controls, it's easy. No, if you are not familiar in this domain, if you are not working in this domain, it's not easy. You need to be a little bit more understanding. You need to be a little bit creating empathy. And sometimes we are talking about the dangers, and we are saying internet is a dangerous place. Be careful. This is not giving any actionable items. This is only creating more confusion and anxiety. And sometimes we say, like, hackers are everywhere. Your child is at risk. This is not empowering. So you got the message. Let me come back to my example of this WhatsApp group with the parents and the data breach that I faced personally. So what I did is I replied to this lady who was sharing some screenshots from ChatGPT with all the potential things that may go wrong. And I said, you are very right. This is not the best place to be. I'm also very much concerned as a parent who is also working in cybersecurity. And all those things that you mentioned are potential side effects and consequences. I totally feel what you are feeling. And I shared very basic actionable items. I said, but we have some actionable items that is used for something. Or I said, a second step, go and check this website and understand if your personal data is exposed in somewhere. I said, after doing this, you should change your passwords, you should set multi-factor authentication. Again, not speaking in technical jargon, step by step, very easy steps. So such kind of document, it was very easy. It took my 15 minutes. You can get always support from AI. Like, I want to create a document including this for such kind of situation. And it's immediately giving you lots of details. And as someone who has knowledge in cybersecurity domain, just check it, validate if something is missing, if something is wrong, and share it. This even goes a long way. And then finally, I finished the message with an empowering statement. I said, we shouldn't be perfect. Even small actions would go a long way. Whatever you do, you only need to be together with your kids and support them and know your options, what you can do. So this is kind of the empowerment and information sharing that I made with the parents, the peers, and it helped us a lot. So throughout this session, I have been focusing a lot on the communication and conversation because this is the most powerful tool that we have. To be able to have this quality conversation, first we need to create a judgment-free zone. Again, remember, the kids have a fear of losing their device. They don't want to discuss this with the parents first. They are preferring to discuss this with a kid at the similar age, which is at the similar situation. We need to reverse it. We need to create judgment-free zone. We need to teach the kids pause and check rule. It is like at schools, they are teaching how to protect themselves from fire or how to protect themselves from the earthquakes. We need to teach them in the same way, pause and check rule. Again, remember, the prefrontal cortex, it's still developing. And finally, ongoing conversations. This is not a one-time conversation. We need to have these conversations regularly. It is like, hey, how was your day? And most of the kids hate this question. We need to find a more engaging way. We can say something. Did you notice anything interesting online today? This would be something. This would be something to keep the conversation going. Because no parental control, no privacy setting, no cybersecurity rule can protect the kids as well as an open and honest conversation. And this open and honest conversation should be happening with their parents. You may think this is a lot. You may think like, okay, this is a lot of load on our shoulders. But I want to remind you a saying I'm sure most of you had heard, it takes a village to raise a child. It is the same in cybersecurity domain. It takes a village to secure a child. So you are not alone. You shouldn't be alone. There are lots of different entities working in this environment. It is like law enforcement, tech companies, child support, school systems. Everybody is trying to do something around this topic. But some entities doesn't have the knowledge that we have as cybersecurity experts. Some entities doesn't have the communication skills that we have, or they don't have the reach that we have. So everybody is playing a role in this ecosystem. You are not alone, but we definitely need each other. And today, as I close my session, I want to invite you to create a ripple effect. Just like a drop of water falling into a pond and creating ripples long away from where it started. If you just take time to coach a kid, help a parent, take some time to present in your local community school to educate people, please be sure it will be creating big ripple effects. Just think about what will be your ripple effect. What kind of ripple are you going to create? And I want you to remember, we just don't protect bridges. We protect futures, future of those kids and parents. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. Maybe we can get couple questions if we have, as we have a couple more minutes.
Thank you, Berku. This was spectacular. I think it's always great to have more resources and tools in our tool belt, no matter even just for our own sanity and home. I don't have kiddos, but for my nieces, I'll be taking a lot of this into effect because I feel like my standard answer has been those examples you used. I'm like, because there's hackers everywhere. What you wrote in there. I'm like, oh, I say that to my nieces. So I appreciate giving me and all of the viewers more tools for how to communicate this big topic in a more digestible way to the kiddos in our lives. So we have a little bit of time. I'd like to get to some of the questions. I just want to do that reminder for that we're going to be giving away a WiCyS membership at the end of this. I will be emailing you directly, so keep an eye out for all of our attendees. So I will be sending that over probably in the next day. You'll see an email from me, so keep an eye out. And first question we have is, with schools teaching technology topics earlier and more schools providing computers post-COVID, how do parents manage the access when they have these devices, coming from the school itself?
Mm-hmm. So, of course, there are lots of different options, but I don't want to overwhelm anyone with all the details. The very basics will go a long way. So most of those devices that are coming from schools, sometimes they are not very much up to date, or they are coming with basic software. So having a proper software update on everything is your best friend to start with. And it really depends on your school setup, but some schools are giving some extras like antivirus, anti-malware kind of software solutions. In some countries, it's a must to have it globally. So if you have such kind of software in the system, make sure your kid is not disabling it. Some kids can be very creative. I will give you an example. We are trying to motivate my son to not start his day with immediately checking YouTube or watching TV, blah, blah. So we put some time limit on our TV. But he realized if he doesn't immediately try to open TV, but open it via PlayStation, it's opening. So kids are masters on this hacking the systems thing. That's why I keep saying we need to have an open and honest conversation, and they need to understand why we are doing this. So make sure you are having the conversation. Make sure they are not disabling anything from coming from school, and make sure your update software is up to date. And rest, I would suggest you to have a conversation with the school around what kind of applications are already installed, which is kind of a stranger that was installed later. It really depends on the environment, but this would be the basic starting point, I would suggest.
Amazing. And then next question is, I understand the grooming and cyberbullying concerns as this viewer's husband and them have that as well. They want to know, is this outweighed by the global network that their kids are creating?
I am not sure if I understand the question correctly.
I also am not fully confident. I think if I'm understanding, and viewer, if you're able to expound on this a little bit, if we'll come back, but it seems that being concerned about cyberbullying and grooming, but also allowing their kids the opportunity to get and make a community on
Okay.
the internet.
So it is,
I
I
think
guess
if
it's
I'm
like
understanding
finding
correctly.
the right balance with
Yes.
allowing them to be part of community, but coming with the, that's why this is a community challenge. How we were tackling this problem when it was pre-internet age. As responsible parents, we were teaching our kids not to bully others. We were talking about we shouldn't be talking about the, let's say, body image of the friends, shouldn't be humiliating them. So the same thing applies to online world. And we should be also taking some actions like, okay, if it is a community of friends, a network that we know, this would be easy. We can find ways. But sometimes we are also dealing with people we don't know. Like I'm seeing lots of people are creating some YouTube accounts for the kids, or kids are interacting with people they don't know in the internet. So my suggestion, if your kid has, let's say, a YouTube channel, don't ask me why a kid should have a YouTube channel. They keep asking. But you can at least just disable the comments. So they cannot be getting in touch with cyberbullying or negative comments and everything from people they don't know. Personally, I don't allow my son to play games where he can interact with people he doesn't know. Or at least I allow the games where the chat feature is disabled. So this would be my immediate suggestion. Of course, they should be interacting with the kids they know, like the schools. For teenagers, they have WhatsApp groups most of the times. They are exchanging some messages, and we cannot just hold them back being part of this community. It's not sending them to school, but we need to teach them the ground rules. Don't share pictures online. They are forever online. But you know the right way of saying this now. So we need to teach the ground rules. We need to keep educating our kids with the general empathy and the rules and apply it to cyber world. So this is what I would suggest.
It's changing the conversation. I think we've all had the same conversation with the very hard stops without getting the why. And when you bring it in and add in these tools and ways to communicate it, I think it makes it a much more feasible conversation and more digestible for, the kids in our lives to be
Mhm.
able to have that conversation and understand maybe a little bit better. Um, I want to take a second because there are numerous questions that are individuals just thanking you, Berku, for all of the resources and your presentation. They very much just appreciate it. A lot of parents and people with kiddos in their lives just feeling just all the thanks are coming in. But one of the things I wanted to make sure I address, because we are getting close to time, is are you able to share the resources and the different things you cited on this call? Is it possible if I just attach? Would you mind if I shared the slide deck on
Uh,
attached to the webinar? How would you? Is that all
yeah,
right? Or
it is all right. All those information is public resources. We can just uh, share it. I will pin you after the session. Definitely, you can have those resources.
perfect. We will find a way to share that. So keep an eye out on the webinar itself, and we'll at least get the resources attached um, to the webinar.
Okay, deal.
Thank you. And then we have an individual, and this will probably have to be our last question, sadly. We had an individual just wanted to share a resource. It's called Popsicle, but not, it's pronounced Popsicle, just not spelled like that. And it's
Mhm.
an online safety awareness tool, and it was just something that they wanted to share that resource out. Have you heard of that, Berku, at all? Have you used that?
I haven't heard, but thank you very much, Teresa, for sharing this. As I said, there are tons of available materials. Some of them are very good, very high quality. I'm sure as you are sharing this, this would be one of them. So this is also creating a ripple effect. Now we have another tool that is in our tool belt, and we will definitely leverage it. So please keep sharing such kind of things with the community. I will
Awesome.
definitely check it after the call.
Amazing. Well, again, Berku, thank you so much. This has been so enlightening and just inspiring to tackle such what can be a very heavy topic with all of the kiddos in our lives. So I appreciate you diving right in and giving us all these tools. Viewers, thank you for joining us this morning. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their morning, day, evening, wherever in the world you're joining us from. Thank you, Berku.
Thank you. Bye-bye.